I guess it all started with the rent situation. My wife Lisa and I had been living in a cozy two-bedroom apartment in a nice neighborhood for about 3 years. When we first moved in, everything was perfect. We were happy, in love, and eager to take on the world together. But as time went on, little cracks began to appear in our seemingly perfect life. It was subtle at first. She would come home later than usual from her job as a marketing manager. Her phone would ring at odd hours, and I'd catch her sneaking glances at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. I tried to brush it off. I mean, we all have busy lives, right? I didn't want to be that guy who jumps to conclusions without evidence. But when it came time to negotiate our lease renewal, something felt off. I had expected the usual back and forth with our landlord, Mr. Jenkins, about the rent. He was a decent guy, but a hard negotiator. Lisa had taken the lead in these discussions in the past, and I figured she would do the same this time. So, imagine my surprise when I got the email from Mr. Jenkins notifying me that our rent had been decreased significantly. No explanation was given, just a new lease agreement with a lower price. At first, I was thrilled. I thought, wow, maybe we really are lucky. But as I sat there staring at the email, it dawned on me that Lisa hadn't mentioned anything about this change. And that's when the unease settled in. I couldn't shake off the feeling that something wasn't right. Over the next few days, I started to notice more signs. Lisa was acting different. Her laughter came too easily. Her phone was always face down, and when I asked her about work, she seemed distant. There was an underlying tension, and I could feel it in the way she avoided my gaze. One evening, I came home early. I was excited to surprise her with her favorite takeout, but when I opened the door, there was an unsettling silence. The apartment felt heavier, like something was hanging in the air. My heart began to race when I noticed her phone sitting on the coffee table, buzzing with a message. The name that flashed on the screen was Jake, our landlord. I felt a sickening, not form in my stomach as I picked it up. I shouldn't have done it, but I opened the message. It was an invitation, something that should have been between them, private and secret. The betrayal hit me like a ton of bricks. I didn't know if I should confront her right there or wait for her to come home. But my instincts kicked in and I decided to confront her. When Lisa finally walked through the door, I was standing there, phone in hand, heart racing, ready to explode. I held it out to her, demanding answers. Her reaction was immediate, a mix of shock and defiance. "What the hell is this, Lisa?" I shouted. Her face drained of color, and for a moment I could see the panic in her eyes. She stammered, trying to come up with an excuse, but all I heard were lies. She claimed it was just business, that nothing had happened, but the way she stumbled over her words told me everything I needed to know. "You're lying," I yelled, and she snapped back with a barrage of excuses about how I didn't understand her stress at work, throwing the landlord's name around. Like a shield, every deflection, every excuse ignited my anger. I couldn't believe this was happening. The woman I trusted, who I thought I knew inside and out, was standing in front of me, unraveling everything we once had. The emotional storm inside me was brewing, a mix of rage, sadness, and betrayal. I wanted to scream, cry, throw something. Instead, I took a deep breath and told her to leave. I needed space to think, to figure out how I felt about everything that was happening. What followed was a long night of tossing and turning, replaying every moment in my mind, our past, our love, and this sudden betrayal. Little did I know that this was just the beginning of a turbulent journey that would change everything. The next few days felt like a surreal fog. I went through the motions of daily life. I went to work, but my mind was elsewhere. Every time I saw Lisa, I was reminded of her betrayal. I kept thinking about that phone, the way she deflected blame, and the excuses that rolled off her tongue like they were rehearsed. I couldn't shake the image of her and Jake together, laughing and whispering, behind closed doors, while I was out there paying the bills and working to keep our lives afloat. I tried reaching out to friends, hopping for some advice, but I found it hard to talk about what had happened. How do you explain to someone that your wife is cheating on you with your landlord? I felt embarrassed, ashamed, and deeply hurt. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that this wasn't just about Lisa. It was about me, my trust, and the life we had built together. One evening, I decided to confront the situation head-on. I had to know the truth. I called Lisa and told her that we needed to talk. I wanted to meet at a nearby cafe, a neutral ground where I could keep my emotions in check. I walked into the cafe with a heavy heart, feeling the weight of what was coming. When she arrived, I noticed she had put on a brave face, but there was a tremor in her voice as she greeted me. "Hey, I've been thinking about what happened," she started, but I cut her off. "No more excuses, Lisa. I need you to be honest. With me, did you sleep with Jake?" The question hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Her eyes darted to the floor, and I could see the guilt etched into her features. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was just a kiss," she stammered. "A kiss, just a kiss." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The words felt like a slap in the face. "Just a kiss," I replied incredulously. "You call that a small thing? You betrayed me. You betrayed us." "Please, just let me explain," she begged. "Things haven't been great between us. You're always busy, and I felt so alone. I didn't think it would go this far. Jesus, I felt like I was in a bad movie. Here she was trying to shift the blame onto me. So this is my fault. I'm working to pay the bills while you're off playing house with Jake." Lisa's face hardened as she shot back. "You don't understand how hard it's been for me. You're so consumed with work, you never even notice when I need you." I couldn't believe the audacity. It was infuriating, and my anger flared again. "So you thought cheating was the answer. You thought that sleeping with our landlord would fix things." I didn't think it through, it just happened. She cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I didn't want to hurt you." I stared at her, my heart aching in two different directions. Part of me wanted to comfort her, the other part wanted to walk away and never look back. "You've already hurt me, Lisa," I said, my voice trembling. "How can I trust you again? How can I even look at you the same way?" She reached for my hand, but I pulled it away. "You need to understand that I love you," she said, desperation creeping into her voice. "I made a mistake." "Love doesn't lead to betrayal," I shot back. "Love doesn't involve lying and sneaking around." The silence that followed was deafening. I could see the realization dawn on her that I was no longer the same man she had known. I wasn't going to let her manipulate me anymore, and I wasn't going to allow her to make this about me. "Where do we go from here?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't have an answer. I felt hollow, as if this conversation had drained all the life from me. I needed time away from her to think. "I can't do this right now. I need to process everything." Lisa nodded, her shoulders slumping as she realized what that meant. I left the cafe, my mind racing. I felt like I was in a whirlwind of emotions: anger, betrayal, confusion, and a deep sadness that settled in my chest. I didn't know if I wanted to fight for our marriage or walk away completely. The decision weighed heavily on me, twisting my stomach into knots. I needed clarity, and to find that clarity, I had to confront the reality of our marriage and the woman I thought I knew. Little did I know, the real battle was just beginning. After that confrontation at the cafe, I went back to our apartment with a heavy heart. The atmosphere was suffocating, filled with an undercurrent of tension that seemed to wrap around me like a thick fog. I could hear the hum of the fridge, the ticking of the clock on the wall, and the echo of our last argument playing on repeat in my head. Every corner of the apartment felt tainted now, reminders of a life that had been shattered in an instant. I spent days cycling through a whirlwind of emotions: anger, sadness, confusion, and dread. I worked long hours trying to escape the memories of Lisa and Jake, but even at work I was haunted by thoughts of betrayal. I kept picturing them together, laughing, sharing intimate moments, and it made my blood boil. Every time I saw our landlord in the hallway, a surge of rage bubbled inside me. How could he do this? How could he so brazenly cross a line that should never have been crossed? One night, I came home late after drowning my sorrows with a few drinks at a bar. I stumbled through the door, my head heavy with alcohol and frustration. Lisa was sitting on the couch, her eyes red from crying. She looked up as I entered, her expression a mix of hope and fear. I didn't want to talk, but I felt the need to confront the situation again. "Why are you still here?" I asked, my voice rough from a combination of anger and alcohol. "I want to fix this," she replied, her eyes pleading. "I know I messed up, but I love you. I want to work through it." "Fix this?" I scoffed, my anger bubbling back to the surface. You think it's that simple? You cheated on me, Lisa. You shattered everything we built. I made a mistake. I was lonely and I let my emotions get the better of me. I didn't mean to hurt you, she pleaded, her voice breaking. You didn't mean to hurt me. You think that excuses it. You think that justifies what you did. I felt the heat rising in my chest, my hands balling into fists at my sides. I'm sorry, I really am, she cried. I've always loved you and I know I messed up, but I can make it up to you. I took a step closer, my voice dropping to a low growl. And how do you plan to do that? By trying to convince me that everything is okay, that you didn't sleep with Jake and betray our marriage. Please just give me a chance, she begged, tears streaming down her face. We can go to counseling, we can work together to fix this. I'll do anything you want. The desperation in her voice tugged at something inside me. I thought about the life we had built, the dreams we had shared, and the moments that had brought us joy. But all of that was now clouded by betrayal. I couldn't just brush this off or pretend it didn't happen. As I stood there, staring into her tear-streaked face, I felt the crushing weight of the decision before me. I could either fight for a marriage that felt irreparably broken or walk away from the woman I had once loved with all my heart. I don't know if I can trust you again, I finally said, my voice heavy with resignation. I don't know if I want to. The silence that followed was palpable. Lisa sank back into the couch, her expression defeated. What does that mean for us? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. I need time to figure things out. I can't make any promises right now, I replied, my heart aching with the weight of my words. She nodded slowly, tears continuing to flow down her cheeks. I understand, she replied quietly. Just know that I'm here and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make things right. I turned away from her, needing to escape the heaviness of the moment. As I walked to the bedroom, I felt like I was standing at a crossroads, faced with a choice that would determine the course of my life. My heart was torn between love and betrayal, and I knew I had to make a decision soon. In the following days, I threw myself into work and avoided Lisa as much as possible. I didn't want to talk to her, didn't want to relive the pain of our conversation. Instead, I found solace in the company of friends, often seeking advice and venting my frustrations. One evening, a close friend, Mark, invited me over to his place. He could see I was struggling and wanted to help. As we sat on his porch talking, I opened up about everything, the betrayal, my confusion, and the emotional turmoil I was experiencing. You know, it's okay to feel angry, Mark said, leaning back in his chair. You've got every right to be hurt, but you also need to think about what you want. Are you willing to work on this, or is it time to move on? His words resonated with me, sparking a glimmer of clarity in the chaos of my emotions. I realized that I needed to consider my own happiness and well-being. I had to decide if I wanted to fight for a marriage built on trust or if it was time to cut my losses and seek a new path. That night, I returned home and found Lisa sitting on the couch, waiting for me. She looked weary, but there was a flicker of hope in her eyes. I took a deep breath, ready to face the truth of our situation. It was time to make a decision, and I knew it wouldn't be easy, but it was necessary both for her and for me. I had to confront the reality of our relationship, no matter how painful it might be. As I stood in the doorway, watching Lisa's hopeful expression fade as reality set in, I felt a rush of emotion surge through me. It was time to lay everything on the table. I knew I couldn't keep dragging this out any longer. We need to talk, I said, my voice steady despite the whirlpool of emotions beneath the surface. Lisa nodded, her eyes wide with anticipation. Okay, I'm ready to listen, she replied, her voice soft but laced with uncertainty. I walked over to the couch and sat down, needing to put some distance between us so I could gather my thoughts. First, I want you to know that I'm not angry at you because I love you, I began, forcing myself to articulate my feelings without letting the anger take control. But I can't ignore what you did. What you did shattered my trust, and I don't know if I can ever get that back. Her expression shifted from hopeful to pained. I understand, she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. I know I made a huge mistake. I just wish I could take it back. I would do anything to make it right. The sincerity in her voice was palpable, but I was still grappling with how to respond. I've been talking to friends, and they've given me a lot to think about. I continued. I don't want to rush into anything without clarity. I think we need to consider couples counseling, but I also need to take some time for myself to really understand what I want. Lisa nodded slowly, the reality of my words sinking in. I'll do whatever it takes to fix this, I swear, she said, her voice tremulous. I can't lose you. I love you. I know you say that, but love doesn't lead to betrayal, Lisa, I replied, feeling the anger bubbling just beneath the surface again. You have to understand how your actions have consequences. I can't simply pretend everything is fine when it's not. She looked down at her hands, visibly shaken. I know I hurt you and I can't change the past, but I want to be better. I want to be the partner you deserve. Please let me prove it to you. I sighed, my heart heavy with uncertainty. We can try counseling and we can talk things out, but I need you to understand that trust is built over time. It won't happen overnight. You have to show me that you're committed to changing. Anything, she said, her voice resolute. I'll do anything to show you that I can be better, just give me that chance. I nodded, still wrestling with my emotions. Okay, let's start there, but I need space to think. I can't be in a situation where I feel suffocated, where I can't process what's happening. Lisa's expression shifted again, and I could see the realization dawn on her. You want to take some time apart. Not completely apart, but I need to establish boundaries, I clarified. I can't be in the same space feeling the weight of what's happened. I need to think about everything without the pressure of immediate decisions. Okay, I get that, she replied, her voice steadier now. I'll respect your space. I just hope you know how much I care for you and how much I want to make this work. As the conversation came to a close, I felt a slight sense of relief. We had taken a step forward, albeit a tentative one. But at the same time, I was scared. The unknown ahead felt daunting, and I wasn't entirely sure if I was ready to navigate it. In the following weeks, we both committed to counseling. I found a therapist who specialized in relationship issues, and we scheduled our first session together. I was nervous about sharing our struggles with a stranger, but deep down, I knew it was necessary to facilitate open communication and healing. There were moments in counseling when I felt exposed, raw, and vulnerable. Lisa opened up about her feelings of loneliness and insecurity, and I realized that a lack of communication had contributed to her actions. It didn't excuse her behavior, but it helped me understand why she had strayed. I shared my own feelings of betrayal and hurt, and for the first time, we were able to address the cracks in our relationship openly. However, as the sessions progressed, I still felt the weight of uncertainty hanging over me. I struggled to trust Lisa again. I found myself replaying memories of our life together, questioning every moment, every laugh, every loving glance. It was exhausting and emotionally draining. One evening after a particularly intense counseling session, I returned home to find Lisa sitting on the couch, her expression somber. I've been thinking a lot about everything, she said, her voice tinged with apprehension. And I want to make a change. I want to show you that I'm serious about us. What do you mean? I asked, curious yet cautious. I want to reach out to Jake, she said, her eyes locking onto mine. I want to cut ties completely. No more interactions, no more business. I want to show you that I'm committed to our relationship and that I can be trusted. I felt a mix of emotions, surprise, apprehension, and something that resembled hope. Are you sure that's wise? I mean, that could cause more trouble, I cautioned, fearing the fallout of confronting him. I don't care. I need to take this step to prove to you that I'm serious about making things right. I know I need to earn your trust back, and this feels like the first step, she replied, determination in her voice. I weighed her words, still unsure of what to think. Okay, but let's talk about this more. We need to make sure we're both ready for whatever fallout might come next. I'm ready, she said, her eyes steady and resolute. I'll do whatever it takes. As we sat there, I felt a flicker of hope, a small spark amidst the chaos of our lives. Maybe, just maybe, we could find a way to rebuild what had been broken. But deep down, I knew the road ahead would be challenging, filled with moments of doubt and uncertainty. I was willing to try, but I also knew that healing takes time, and I had to brace myself for the potential fallout of Lisa's decision. This journey was just beginning, and I had to be prepared for whatever twists and turns lay ahead. The days leading up to Lisa's meeting with Jake felt like an eternity. Every moment was fraught with anxiety, anticipation, and a nagging fear of what might unfold. I watched her prepare for the meeting, and I could see the determination in her eyes, but I was also painfully aware that this was a risky move for both of us. We had no idea how Jake would respond or what kind of fallout might ensue. On the day of the meeting, I tried to focus on work, but my mind kept wandering back to Lisa. What would she say? Would she actually go through with it? Would Jake retaliate? I felt like I was living in a pressure cooker and the steam was about to burst through the lid. Finally, around lunchtime, I received a text from her. Meeting with Jake is today at 3. I'll call you afterward. Love you. It was short and to the point, but it did little to relieve the tension coiling inside me. I spent the afternoon packing around my office, my heart racing with each passing hour. At 3:30 p.m., my phone rang. It was Lisa. I hesitated for a moment, then picked it up, my heart pounding in my chest. "Hey," I said, trying to sound calm even though I felt anything but. "Hey," she replied, her voice shaky. "I just finished the meeting." "Okay, how did it go?" I braced myself for the worst. "Not great," she admitted, taking a deep breath before continuing. "When I told him that I wanted to cut ties and that I was committed to you, he didn't take it well." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "He got angry," she said, her voice trembling now. "He accused me of ruining everything and said that I was making a huge mistake. He said he wouldn't let me walk away without consequences." "Consequences?" I echoed, my heart racing even faster. "What does that mean?" "I don't know," she admitted. "He said he'd make things difficult for us. I didn't ask for details because I just wanted to get out of there." My mind was racing. "Did he threaten you?" "No, but he was very aggressive and I could tell he was upset," she replied. "I left before it got any worse, but I feel so shaken. I didn't think he would react like that." I felt a wave of protectiveness surge through me. "You did the right thing, Lisa. It was necessary and I'm proud of you for standing up for us, but we need to be careful now." "I know," she said softly. "I'm scared, though. What if he tries to retaliate?" "We'll handle it together. We can talk about how to deal with him when you get home. Just be careful, okay?" "I will, I promise," she said, but I could hear the fear in her voice. When Lisa finally came home later that evening, I could see the weight of the world on her shoulders. She had put on a brave face, but her eyes betrayed her fear. "I feel like I just stirred a hornet's nest," she said, collapsing onto the couch beside me. "We'll figure it out," I reassured her, wrapping my arm around her. "What do you think he'll do?" "I don't know," she replied, her voice trembling. "But I have a feeling he won't just let this go. He's the type who likes to have control over everything, and I think I just took that from him." We spent the evening discussing our options, and I could see that she was genuinely scared. We talked about the possibility of involving the police if things escalated, but I also knew that we had to tread carefully. It was a delicate situation, and we had to be prepared for whatever might come our way. As the days turned into weeks, Jake's presence lingered like a dark cloud over our heads. I started noticing changes in our apartment complex. There were strange noises at odd hours, and I caught glimpses of Jake lurking around the property. It was unsettling, and it fueled Lisa's anxiety. One afternoon, as I was leaving for work, I saw Jake standing by the mailboxes. He was talking to a neighbor, but the moment our eyes met, I felt a chill run down my spine. He flashed a grin that sent shivers through me, and I knew that he was still very much involved in our lives. When I came home that evening, Lisa was on edge. "Did you see him?" she asked, her voice a whisper. "Yeah, he was just outside," I replied, trying to keep my tone steady. "He seemed friendly enough, but I don't trust him." "I don't either," she admitted, her eyes wide with fear. "I feel like he's watching us." That night, we decided to take action. We sat down and drafted a letter to send to him, outlining our desire to cut all ties and demanding that he respect our boundaries. I wanted to make it clear that we wouldn't tolerate any harassment, and I told Lisa that we should consider contacting a lawyer to discuss our options for defending ourselves if things escalated further. As we reviewed the letter, I noticed that Lisa's hands were shaking and I could see the worry etched on her face. "What if he doesn't take this well?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "We'll be ready for it, whatever it may be," I said, trying to project confidence. "We're stronger together and we'll figure this out." After we finalized the letter, we mailed it to Jake, both anxious yet relieved to have taken a stand. For the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope that we might be able to regain some control over our lives. But that hope was quickly overshadowed by the fear of what might come next. Later that week, I received a call from Lisa while I was at work. "You need to come home," she said urgently. "Why? What happened?" My heart raced. "I just got a call from Jake. He's not happy and he's threatening to spread rumors about us if we don't back off," she said, her voice shaking. I felt a wave of anger wash over me. What kind of rumors? "Something about our lease and how we're not good tenants," she replied, her voice trembling. "He said he has friends in high places and he'll make it difficult for us to stay here. He's trying to scare us." "Stay put. I'm on my way home," I said, my mind racing with thoughts of how we could defend ourselves. I knew we had to confront this together, but the reality was that Jake was becoming a dangerous element in our lives. As I drove home, I couldn't shake the feeling that things were spiraling out of control. I needed to protect Lisa, protect our home, and find a way to regain our peace. But I also felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down on me. How far would Jake go? What would be the outcome of this escalating feud? Arriving home, I found Lisa sitting on the couch, her face pale and eyes wide with fear. I pulled her into my arms, trying to shield her from the storm brewing outside. "We'll get through this," I whispered, but even I felt the uncertainty of our situation hanging heavily in the air. The battle was far from over, and I knew we had to prepare for whatever came next. The days that followed felt like a relentless storm cloud hung over our home. Jake's threats loomed large, and every time my phone buzzed, my heart would leap into my throat, fearing it was another message from him. Lisa and I were on high alert, constantly looking over our shoulders and second-guessing every knock at the door. The anxiety was palpable, and our once cozy apartment felt like a cage. One evening, as we sat on the couch together, I could see that the strain was getting to Lisa. "We can't keep living like this," she said, her voice wavering. "I'm terrified all the time. What if he does something?" "I know it feels unbearable, but we have to stay strong," I replied, trying to keep my own fears at bay. "We'll consult with a lawyer and see what our options are. We can't let him intimidate us." She nodded, but I could see the worry etched on her face. That night we went to bed exhausted, and I held her tightly, hoping to bring her some comfort. But even in sleep, I could sense the tension lingering in the air. The next day we met with a lawyer who specialized in harassment cases. He listened attentively as we explained the situation, and I felt a bit of relief as he laid out our options. He assured us that we had every right to protect ourselves and that Jake's behavior was not only unethical but potentially illegal. "Document everything," he advised. "Every interaction with him, every threat, keep records. If he escalates, you'll have a solid case." I felt a sense of empowerment wash over me. We weren't alone in this fight. We had a plan, and I was determined to take control of our lives once more. Lisa seemed to draw strength from that as well, and for the first time in weeks, I noticed a spark returning to her eyes. That evening, we went home and began documenting everything: dates, times, messages, and notes about Jake's behavior. It was exhausting, but it felt like we were finally taking steps toward reclaiming our lives. As the days passed, we found ourselves becoming more vigilant. We changed our routines, ensuring we were never alone in vulnerable situations. I even started researching possible places to move, just in case the situation escalated further. Then one fateful night, everything changed. I had just gotten home from work when I noticed something odd outside our apartment. There was a faint sound of laughter, and as I turned the corner, I saw Jake standing with a group of people, our neighbors. They were all laughing and joking, seemingly enjoying a casual evening together. But it didn't feel casual to me. It felt like a display, a show of force. I stepped inside and told Lisa what I'd seen, and her face paled. "He's trying to intimidate us," she said, her voice shaking. "He wants us to see he's not going anywhere." As the laughter continued outside, something inside me snapped. "I'm done hiding," I said, my voice rising. "I'm not going to let him control us any longer." I took a deep breath and walked to the front door. Lisa grabbed my arm, her eyes wide with concern. "What are you going to do?" "Just watch," I replied, opening the door and walking out. As I approached, I could feel the tension in the air shift. Jake noticed me first, his grin faltering as I stepped into the circle of neighbors. "Having a party, Jake?" I called out, my voice steady and loud. "Or are you just here to spread more rumors about us?" The laughter died down and the group fell silent, turning their heads toward me. Jake squared his shoulders, a smirk creeping back onto his face. "Oh, look who decided to join us. I was just telling everyone how you're the worst tenants I've ever had." "Funny, because I was just talking to my lawyer," I shot back, feeling a surge of confidence. "And we're documenting everything you've done. If you don't stop harassing us, I'll take action. You don't want this to escalate further." Jake's eyes narrowed and I could see the anger simmering beneath the surface. "You think you can threaten me? You don't know who you're dealing with." "Actually, I do," I replied, my voice firm. "I'm dealing with a man who thinks he can bully me and my wife. But you're wrong if you think I'll back down. I'm not afraid of you." The silence was deafening. The neighbors exchanged glances, clearly unsure of how to respond to the confrontation. I could feel Lisa's presence behind me, a grounding force reminding me that I was not alone in this fight. Finally, Jake stepped closer, his demeanor shifting from confident to menacing. "You want to play games? Fine, but remember what I said. I'll make things difficult for you." With that, he turned and walked away, leaving the group of neighbors in stunned silence. I stood there, heart racing, adrenaline coursing through my veins. I had confronted him, and it felt empowering. As I turned around to face Lisa, I could see the relief in her eyes. "You were amazing," she said, tears of pride welling up. "I can't believe you stood up to him like that." We embraced tightly, and in that moment I felt a sense of unity and strength that had been missing for too long. In the days that followed, Jake seemed to retreat into the shadows. I could only hope that my confrontation had sent him a message. We continued documenting everything, and we remained vigilant, but there was a newfound sense of peace in our home. Ultimately, we decided to move. It was a difficult decision, but we both felt it was necessary to put distance between us and Jake. We found a new place in a different neighborhood, one that felt safe and full of promise. As we packed up our life, I reflected on everything that had happened. The betrayal, the fear, the struggle. It had all tested us in ways we never anticipated. But through it all, we had emerged stronger and more united than ever. Months later, as we settled into our new home, I couldn't help but realize how far we had come. Lisa and I were working on rebuilding our relationship, and while the road was still bumpy, we were committed to making it work. I had learned that trust could be shattered but also rebuilt, that love could endure through pain and uncertainty. This journey had taught me the importance of communication and resilience. As I sat on our new porch, watching the sun set with Lisa by my side, I felt a sense of hope. We had faced darkness and come out stronger. I knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them together, side by side.